Hello everybody. So here I am in the Lake District and I travel 6,000 miles, and what do I photograph? A waterfall. Alright, I don't mind saying that I'm having a really hard time finding a composition as usual, but I kind of wanted to bring up a little topic here that I find quite interesting. Because I haven't really been to this area, I just find it quite overwhelmingly really quite beautiful, and that's a real problem when it comes to photography, because it's really hard to concentrate on one particular area. You want to take it all in, and your first instinct is to point your camera at the whole scene and try and get it all in, and of course we all know that it doesn't really work. So I find it's often more beneficial to try and zero in on little vignettes or little areas that you find interesting, and then just take a whole bunch of pictures to try to put together to show a whole area rather than trying to get it all into one image. Now this scene here is a good example. I mean, I really like this whole scene. It's really quite lovely. There's some oaks kind of overhanging. But it's not perfect, and it's, you know, there's certain aspects about the scene that I don't like compositionally, and that's what we're here for, is the photography, not so much sightseeing. So it's, you know, it's difficult for me to really zero in on those areas. This is where you know, intimate knowledge of your local area or an area that's close to home is really beneficial, because, you know, you don't feel pressure to take those images on that day. You can just come back at your own leisure. Whereas if you're visiting an area like I am here, I'll only be here for 3 days, you kind of feel a little bit pressure to try and take some images and come home with something decent. And of course, as soon as you pressure yourself, then you're less likely to come back with the images that you really want. I mean, I'd love to spend weeks here just exploring all the little nooks and little areas of the Lake District, but, you know, I just can't. So I have to zero in on one specific area, kind of ignore what everybody else has been photographing, and just go for the things that really appeal to me. I mean, we ended up with this waterfall because the light isn't terribly great right now. It's clouded over, so this is probably the best thing to photograph right now. So I'll keep concentrating on this. I'm not sure if I'll get any great shots, but it is a really pretty area. I really like it. So I mean, that's the big benefit of coming to these areas, is that it's, of course, it's all new and fresh, and I find it quite exciting. So, you know, that's what really counts at the end of the day. Good morning, everybody. Beautiful spring morning on Derwentwater, not far from Chiswick, and I have to tell you, it's actually I've seen all these videos where it says, you know, embrace the grey. Well, usually you can kind of deal with them, but right now I'm dealing with embrace the blue. It's just, the weather is just absolutely gorgeous here, which is, I've been told a number of times, a very unusual thing in the Lake District. And to be honest with you, when I came up here, I figured, you know, the reason why I was going to the Northern Photography Show, the main reason was because I figured that the weather was probably going to be the pits. And of course, it's been beautiful. Photographically, my expectations aren't very high. I'm just not here long enough. But I will say that the Lake District is absolutely gorgeous. It's quite a bit different than the Canadian wilderness. This is kind of a nurtured wilderness, but it's very beautiful.
and I wanted to thank the folks that came up to me during the show and said hi. Thank you very much. It was really great to put a face to some of the names that I've recognized in the comments. It was also great to meet Simon, Baxter and Meg, and we went for a nice little hike up one of the local hills here. That was beautiful. And last but not least, Dave Dixon. Dave is an amateur photographer from the south of England, and he's been great. He's been a real trooper, giving me rides, and so thank you very much, Dave. I really do appreciate it. So what am I going to photograph today? Well, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. There's some awesome trees here, a lot of oaks with some wonderful character. But like I said, there's no clouds whatsoever, so it's a little bit hard finding a composition. The sun is just starting to come up. Behind me here, quintessential English scenery with a cottage and the nice oaks in the foreground. I'm hoping that these trees behind me will be backlit. So possibly I might be able to get a more intimate shot of the trees. We'll have to see. Anyway, I'll keep looking, and hopefully I'll find something. But it doesn't really matter if I don't. Right, let's see if I can find something to photograph. Alright, now the sun is still out and it's still pretty harsh, but there are a few clouds, and I've walked down this little river here. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember the name, so I'll have to put it down below. But I've come across these really nice reflections in the water here. It's quite calm through here, and then these three trees and this rock in the foreground. And I think so far this might be the best image that I've taken while I've been in the Lake District. The light right now is quite harsh, but every now and then the cloud will move over and it will put it in the shade. So I'm going to keep hanging out here and try and get this shot here. I might have to do a little bit of magic in Photoshop, because when the clouds do cover the sun, then the light gets quite flat. The best light seems to be just when the cloud is just about to either cover the sun or kind of veer away from it, when you get a little bit of light coming through but not enough to make it too contrasty or too busy. But anyway, it's a really nice little pastoral scene. I think it might work out well. So I'm up, climbing up Cat Bells. Unfortunately, this is my last
day in the lakes. It's been an excellent trip. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a kind of a retrospective type of trip. It's brought back a lot of really fond memories of coming up here when I was a kid. Unfortunately, that was 40 years ago, so I don't remember a lot of it except for some of the landscape. But I'll have to put it on my bucket list to come back and hopefully explore some more remote areas of the park. But until then, I'm just going to hike up Cat Bells and see if I can get a decent image up here to kind of finish the trip off. There are a few clouds to the west, so fingers crossed for good light to kind of finish the trip off. All right, I'll catch you at the top. Oh man, okay, so that was an almost. The light just didn't happen again. Oh well, I mean it really is quite pretty up here. So this is kind of my goodbye to the Lake District, and now I'm going to head down south, and I probably won't be taking any photographs down there. It's more of a family visit. But anyway, I really hope that I can come back and spend quite a bit more time here. I really enjoyed this trip. It'd be great to spend more time in the alpine areas and also visit some of these woodlands around here, because some of the trees are just, they have so much character, especially compared to the conifers that we have on the west coast of British Columbia. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, even though it didn't have a lot of photography in it, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And as always, again, if you enjoy the content of my videos, please be sure to subscribe. All right, everybody, thanks again, and I'll catch you next time. All right, bye.